The ferry operator P&O Ferries, which operates the routes from Dover to Calais and from Hull, a partner city by the way, to Rotterdam, among other things, is laying off its crews with 800 employees due to financial difficulties. The British market leader surprisingly announced on Thursday that the connections could not be served in the coming days. We advise travelers to make alternative arrangements. Well, frustrated vacationers were stranded at the ports, long traffic jams formed there. The British government condemned the move. Prime Minister Boris Johnson was not informed in advance, his spokesman said. P&O justified the decision by saying that it would protect the other 2,200 employees. We have lost £100 million year on year, which has been covered by our parent company DP World. This is unsustainable. Without these changes, there is no future for P&O Ferries, shared the company. And the union RMT protested. The employees had been dismissed at short notice and with immediate effect. Several crews refused to abandon their ships, as the BBC reports. Now private security companies are supposed to bring the protesters off board. The union fears that the crews will be replaced with cheaper workers from Eastern Europe. No, it's not that easy anymore, just saying. Like many transport companies, P&O Ferries was hit hard by the corona pandemic. Passenger numbers had fallen significantly. Before the pandemic, the company transported more than 10 million travelers annually and around 15% of freight to and from the UK. But there's less freight because of Brexit. But we were talking about COVID as well. There is a new wave in China, and that one is causing trouble for Europe too. Volkswagen is currently feeling how tense the corona situation in China is suddenly. The German group initially had to stop production in the northeast Chinese metropolis of Changchun for a few days. The authorities have put the city and the entire province of Jilin into a lockdown. It would be a heavy blow for China and probably for the entire global economy if such measures were soon to become necessary across the whole country. So far, China has always managed to bring outbreaks under control quickly. But Omicron, easier to transfer than other variants, is pushing the Chinese zero-corona policy to its limits. With around 5,000 cases nationwide, the highest daily number of infections since the first big outbreak in the central Chinese metropolis of Wuhan a good 2 years ago was registered on Tuesday. A few thousand infections may seem ridiculously small from, for example, our German perspective, especially in a country with 1.4 billion people. But China is on the alert. The trend in the number of cases has been rising steeply for weeks. The majority of infections are still being reported from the already isolated province of Jilin, where new makeshift hospitals are being rushed up for isolation. But the virus is spreading. Around 20 Chinese regions have been reporting at least a few cases for days. This also includes the capital Beijing and the important economic centers Shanghai and Shenzhen in the south of the country. Similar to Changchun, the 17 million metropolis ordered its citizens to lock down for several days. The Apple supplier Foxconn had to stop parts of the production. Since hardly any Chinese have been infected with the virus so far, and Chinese vaccines are considered less effective, a widespread outbreak could result in many deaths, observers warn. Classic inactivated vaccines containing dead viruses are used in China. These usually caused a relatively weak reaction in the part of the immune system that protects against severe causes, said Gießen virologist Friedemann Weber, and the protection wears off over time and seems quicker than with the mRNA. The mainland Chinese are following the development in the Chinese Special Administrative Region of Hong Kong with horror. In the financial metropolis, the situation has gotten out of control despite similarly strict measures as in China. Tens of thousands of cases are reported every day, and most recently almost 300 deaths per day. An exorbitant value for a city with only 7.5 million inhabitants. There are so many deaths because the Hong Kong government has failed in 2 years of pandemic to convince elderly people to get vaccinated. Many felt safe because there were hardly any infections. Others sat on conspiracy theories about harmful side effects. Only around 20% of those over 80 had been fully vaccinated by the state of the current wave in Hong Kong. In China, according to official figures, this figure was around 50% in December, and it is likely to have risen since then. However, the vaccination rate amongst the elderly remains below the national average. In any case, the strategy of the Chinese authorities has remained the same so far. If infections are reported in a city, the outbreaks should be nipped in the bud as soon as possible. Contacts are rigorously traced. People are not supposed to go out the door until mass testing has filtered out the positive cases and sent them to isolation. The lockdown metropolises of Changchun and Shenzhen are currently doing the same. But can densely populated China keep Omicron under cover for so long? Well, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I definitely have doubt about this. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.